Welcome to Module 1 in Intro to Creative Writing. Let's get started. I'm hoping that you will get in the habit of looking at the announcement and the assignment information at the early part of the week, preferably Monday. The announcements become available at midnight on Monday, so you can take a look at them as early as that. It gives you an idea of what you're dealing with for the rest of the week so that you can manage your time appropriately. And a heads up, this course does have a significant amount of reading from week to week. And so you're going to want to be able to plan your time so that you get the readings done before you attempt to do the assignments. The textbook that we're using is very helpful, and the resources that are listed as additional resources in each of the modules are also very helpful. But it does take time to cover all of that and still get the assignments done each week. So this isn't really a course that you can wait fully until the weekend to do the assignments. So that's the heads up. So let's get started. This is Module 1, and it's going to focus on theme. Theme is what a reader gets from reading a piece of material, something that you've written, what they walk away with. It can be described as what it's about. But more importantly, what does the reader get from reading that work? And so what we're looking at right now is the announcement page. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there's additional information about due dates, information about the individual assignments, things highlighted that are most important. But that's where the announcement will be every week. And there will be more than one announcement. Usually I post another announcement on Wednesday or Thursday with additional information, sometimes some expanded information about the theme for the module this week. So you want to be sure that you're looking at the announcements every time that you log in, and you should be logging in every day or so to check for new information in the announcements as well as for email, because from time to time I may email you letting you know something about an assignment. Occasionally students submit the wrong thing and I give them an opportunity to submit the correct file. So checking your email is also important. So let's get started by taking a look at Module 1. And what I'm going to do in this announcement basically is just kind of walk you through what the modules look like. You're probably already familiar with the overall Brightspace experience, but I want to expose you to the setup for this particular course because it won't vary very much from module to module. So after the second week, you'll become really familiar with it. Each module begins with an introduction where the objectives for this particular module are covered in bullet points, followed by an overview, which is just a paragraph that describes what the focus of this particular assignment is. In the future modules 2 through 8, there will be a module overview that takes place in Feedback Fruits, which is an interactive app that allows you to read or view something and then also post information, post comments, and it's graded. So this week, though, it's not in Feedback Fruits, it's just a reading assignment, but it's still important that you read it even though it doesn't earn you any points because it does give you an overview of what's coming up in this particular assignment. Next, we have the reading and resources list, and this is where you find all of the reading assignments. And under required resources, you will have the textbook readings first, followed by the other types of readings or videos with links to those, and then additionally some optional support material. So some things to point out about the required resources. First of all, with the textbook, be sure that you're paying attention to what is assigned, because for chapter 1 here, you're going to read the whole chapter. But for chapter 2, there are specific sections that you're going to read, and then you don't have to read the rest. The same with chapter 3, the beginning of the chapter until you get to the poetic movement section, and then you stop. And particularly in chapter 3, also another section, so you're just going to read that section. So pay attention to those so that you're not doing any reading that you don't need to, because you will have plenty of reading. It'll keep you busy, so don't do any that you don't need to. That's followed by, as I said, links to a variety of readings, all connected to the module theme, which in this case is theme. Um, we start out with some examples of the kinds of writing that we're focusing on in Module 1, which is poetry and nonfiction. So the first reading, How I Overcame My Fear of Touching and Learned to Love the Hug Again, is an essay, so there's a sample essay. The next one is Salvage, and it's a free verse poem. That's followed by a video where poet Natasha Trethewey speaks about writing, um, poetry, and memoir. That's followed by another essay and a second essay, and then two important links for ongoing resources during the course. The first is Word for Word, which is um, an archive of interviews and other audiovisual materials that have been put together by SNHU's Master of Fine Arts program. And there's quite a number of these archived. So when you have a few minutes, take a look at these, see which ones are of interest to you, and bookmark this for a future resource. Every writer should continue to expose themselves to what other writers are saying, what's being discussed in the field. And then finally, the website Penman Review is Southern New Hampshire's creative writing journal. And you're eligible to submit to this. So again, you want to take a look at this when you've got a few minutes. Scroll through, take a look at the different things that are offered. There's a link here about submitting your writing so you can find out about how that's done, as well as additional information on writing resources. So click on everything, explore those. There'll be excellent resources. This is another one to bookmark. All right, then we have additional support. These things are optional, but they can be of interest. And so if you have finished all the reading and all the assignments for a given week and you want to come back and do some additional things, this is where you want to go. I especially recommend this Grammarly article, A Guide to Themes in Writing and Literature. It's a nice condensed version of information about themes, including some lists of themes, as well as identifying themes in other people's writing as well as your own writing. So that one is definitely worth your time. Then we go from the reading, which you really do need to do all the reading and viewing the videos that are required prior to attempting the assignments. Often you will need to have completed something in order to actually do the assignment. So this is not busy work reading, it's directly connected to the assignments that you're completing. So the first assignment in Module 1 is a discussion, and as in most classes, it's an opportunity for us to start developing some community, and that's especially important among writers because we'll be doing some workshopping later in the class. So getting to know who else is in the class, what their interests are, what kinds of reading, writing they're interested in. This is the opportunity to do this. As with all discussions, and you may already be used to this if you're an SNHU student, the initial post in the discussion is due by midnight Thursday. That's in order to help us get the discussion started and give people an opportunity to be able to do their responses, as well as to continue the conversation. Something I want to emphasize in this first video is that the discussions are meant to be an ongoing conversation throughout the week. And sometimes I will ask you a question or give you a task to do as I respond to your initial post. And I'm doing that in order to keep the conversation going, to give us an opportunity to explore something further, to expand an idea, to expand the way that we look at things. And you're encouraged to do this with people that respond to you. As in all discussions, you'll do your initial post, following the directions, providing what it's asking for. Then you will respond to two of your classmates' initial posts by midnight Sunday. Be sure that you're reading the instructions about what those response posts should address. They're not meant to be just general responses. They're meant to address these specific things that are connected to the focus of the module that particular week. So be sure that you're addressing these things and specifically answering the questions that are asked. It's also, as part of that ongoing conversation, it's encouraged for you to continue the conversation with the people that respond to your initial post. So the earlier in the week we start posting, the more ongoing conversation possibilities that we have. You can ask the other person to explain something further. Maybe you want to just identify that you both like the same kinds of writing, um, that you share an interest in a particular author. But those are ways that you can make connections and do some networking as we begin developing this community. And hopefully you will continue to do that throughout the course when we have discussions. So that's assignment one. Remember there's two parts, the initial post and the two follow-up posts, response posts with two different due dates. And then our second assignment is a creative journal. And you can see the title as the element of theme because that is the module focus. And so what I want to draw your attention to in the journal assignments is that there will always be two parts. There will be a creative work with specific instructions about what you're going to create. In this particular module, we're focusing on nonfiction and poetry, so you have an opportunity to write either a nonfiction paragraph or a stanza of poetry that illustrates a theme. So it's not just random creative work, it's specific creative work focused on whatever that particular module has been looking at. So it gives you an opportunity to practice that. Secondly, the second part, the reflection questions. The expectation is that you're going to answer all the questions that are being asked in these two bullet points. So it's important that you take the time to read the questions carefully and then be sure that you're responding to all of the questions that are asked in each of the bullet points. That's the way you earn full points for the assignments, as well as fully benefiting from what we're working on here. You're learning about being a creative writer, and some of the things will be new to you, some of them may be reviews, but the idea is that you're somebody that's interested in being a creative writer, so take advantage of the opportunities to both produce creative work as well as to reflect on what you're learning about being a creative writer, what you're learning about the practice and the craft of creative writing. That completes the assignments for the first week for Module 1. If you clicked on that arrow, it would take you on into Module 2. I'm available to answer questions. There's a general questions discussion. You may be familiar with, all classes have this at Southern New Hampshire. This is the place to post questions that you have in general about the class, about assignments, about reading information, anything that you don't understand instructions or directions in an assignment or the wording, whatever. Anything except something to do with grading or personal situations. Those should be directly emailed to me, and that would be something we would handle one-on-one. But the questions asked in the general questions discussion are like in a face-to-face classroom where students raise their hand, the instructor calls on them, they ask a question, the instructor answers it, and everybody gets to hear both the question and the response. So anytime you have something that's not personal, I prefer and encourage you to ask it in the general questions discussion because it's very likely that someone else in the class has asked themselves the same thing. And so this way, more information is disseminated in the most efficient manner. Generally, I answer questions in the discussion within just a few hours. I don't answer them during the middle of the night, nor do I answer emails in the middle of the night, but I get to them as soon as I possibly can in order to get that information to you as soon as possible. So be sure that you're using this. Here's where all the discussions are listed if you want to look at them to see what we're doing for the rest of the class. I mentioned that we'll be workshopping. In Module 3, we'll have a mini workshop, and then in Module 6, we'll have a workshop that covers a longer piece of work that you'll be focusing on during the class. So that's all I've got today. Oh, I did want to let you meet my cat. That's Bella back there, the calico laying on the bed. Oliver, the orange cat, is being locked out today because he was meowing, which can be somewhat distracting on the videos. So that's all for today.